Sensible Chat. Budgeting made easy. Really easy. Welcome to Sensible Chat with your host, Sensible Bobby, the show that is all about budgeting, smart spending, and saving. On this episode, Sensible Bobby's going to talk about how kids and parents can work together to help kids sidestep the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. Plus, she's got a new challenge for you just in time for back-to-school shopping season. And Taylor Brown will join us to discuss her award-winning song, Cash Flow, and why she believes in the power of saving. Right now, let's get right into the nuts and bolts of everything that is financial with Sensible Bobby.
Thanks, Scott, and welcome everybody to another episode of Sensible Chat. I'm really excited for you to hear my interview with Taylor Brown. Talk about a young girl with a good head on her shoulders. I wish I could have been as wise when I was her age. With a mindset and a willingness to learn like that, she could very well sidestep the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. Can you imagine? Statistics show that 78% of Americans right now are living paycheck to paycheck. 78%. For the longest time, I didn't even know what the paycheck to paycheck cycle was. I just thought it was normal. And then when we recognize it and start to plan on how to get out of it, it could take a while and certainly means changing our lifestyle. But what if we could have avoided ever getting there in the first place? Is that even possible? I say yes. And so I'm speaking now to kids and their parents. Together, you can create a plan now before those lifestyle habits are ever formed that will keep kids out of the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. How? First, of course, it starts with parents teaching their kids about money, how to use it as a tool. Saving is fantastic, but you also need to know how to spend wisely. And you really need to know what you're saving for. Otherwise, it's really hard to engage. This is a big reason I love YNAB as a budgeting tool. That's you need a budget. Because it categorizes your money. So you're saving. Great. But if you have a big pile of money in your account and something comes up that sounds like fun, could you justify using your savings for it? It's pretty likely. But what if some of that money were earmarked specifically for car repairs? Could you still justify using it for something that sounded like fun? A lot less likely. This is why it's important to give every dollar a job. Girls, think about your makeup. The total balance of money in your account is like your makeup bag. But within that makeup bag, you have mascara, eyeshadow, lipstick, and other things. It's not enough to say that you have plenty of makeup. You need to make sure you've got enough of the type of makeup you need for any given purpose. Guys, think about your toolbox. The toolbox represents the total balance of money in your account. But within that toolbox, you need a hammer, screwdriver, wrenches, nails. You've got to make sure you've got the proper tools and enough of them for any given job. So, kids and parents, how can you work together to make sure the kids have the proper tools in their toolbox when they head out on their own? It starts with thinking about what kind of lifestyle you want. What do you want to spend your time doing? Notice, I didn't ask what kind of job or career you want. I'm asking what you want to spend your time doing. Right now, as you live at home, you've got the opportunity to figure out what that is and then find a way to make money doing it. If you take a job just so you can afford to move out on your own, you are now in the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle if you don't have any savings behind you. That's because if you quit your job or get fired, you can no longer afford your home, your car, your utilities. Now, that's not to say you'll never have a job you don't like. Many of us started out that way. Any job just to get some money. Fine, but do this while you're still at home and save the money. Because if you absolutely hate it, you can quit without having to worry about your survival. And if you save the money for living expenses, you can get enough put aside to cover several months before you ever move out. Now you're in control. You decide how to spend your time and what you're paid to do. Whether that's working for someone else, working for yourself, creating passive income streams that will allow you to make money without having to work down the line, whatever you choose. If you don't like what you initially choose, you've got the flexibility, thanks to your savings account, to stop doing that and find something else. If you don't have a job for a couple weeks, couple of months, no big deal, because you planned for it. Now, if you spend those couple of weeks or couple of months playing around, you'll lose your cushion and have to find a job to survive. Now you've landed in the paycheck to paycheck cycle. Totally your choice, but take the time to think it through and make a conscious decision as to what you want. Be proactive instead of reactive. Is the couple of months you could spend wasting time in the short run worth having to work a job you hate in the long run? Here's another thing about the paycheck to paycheck cycle. Let me paint a picture for you. Let's say you decide you want to work for someone else and you're so happy in the job you've found that you want to work there until you retire. And let's say they're so happy with you, there's not a chance you'll ever get laid off. Good for you. But you're not saving anything. You're spending everything you're making. Doesn't matter. You're not looking to change jobs, and the money flowing in every 2 weeks is good enough. Everything's covered in the short term. But wait. Now imagine that you or someone you love comes down with an unexpected illness that keeps them in the hospital for a couple of months. The bills are piling up and you've used all of your paid time off. You have no money in savings. So how are you going to keep paying for care and keep your home without going to work? If it's not you laying in the hospital bed, you could leave and go back to work. But what if your spouse or child is laying in that bed? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be at work? Or do you want to be taking care of the person you love? If you want to decide, you need the resources to make that decision. Otherwise, it's up to someone else. In this case, your boss and/or your landlord. But saving enough money for several months of expenses can seem really overwhelming. There's rent, utilities, gas, food, car payments, insurance. Then you can think about the things you want, like money for entertainment, clothes, going out to eat, whatever makes you happy. So where do you start? Make a list. It's the simplest way to start, and all you have to do is think about the things you want and need to live on your own. This is where parents and kids can work together. The kids will know what they want. The parents will know what they need. Kids, it may be hard to listen to what your parents tell you that you need sometimes, but they know because they've already been there. So listen up and trust them a little bit. After you make the list, start attaching a dollar amount to each need or want. Some of these will be easy. You can go online to get an estimate of what an apartment might cost or different bills. The others will be harder to figure out, like food and entertainment, but work together to find a starting number. You can always revise this as you go. Once you've got your list with dollar amounts, you can start saving. And here's a trick. Don't add up all of the amounts. That can seem overwhelming. Just start saving for one expense at a time and start with the lowest expense, the easiest one to save for. For example, if you're confident you can find a job close to home, you won't need much gas money. So this might be your lowest expense. Save a month's worth of gas money and then move on to the next lowest expense. Do this until you've saved enough to cover each expense for 1 month. Then move on to month number 2, and so on. Now, this could take a while, which is another reason kids and parents need to work together. Come up with a goal or set of goals and the rules for getting there. This way, parents and kids are accountable to a specific plan. This is also another reason to start as early as possible. If you want to move out in 6 months, you're going to have to save a whole lot more, a whole lot faster than if you want to move out in 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. And the more time is on your side, the more you can keep a balance in your life. If you want to have some fun too and not have to save every penny you earn, then start early and you'll find it much easier to hit your goals while still having some fun. If you want help creating a plan to hit these goals, email me, Bobby, BOBBI, at sensiblechat.com. I'd love to help. Right now, it's time to hear from a young lady who has definitely learned the value of saving. She even wrote a song about it.
Heads up, class. Sensible University is now in session. Today's guest professor is Taylor Brown, winner of the local and national Lights, Camera, Save contest, sponsored by Centric Bank and the American Bankers Association for her original song, Cash Flow.
Taylor, thanks for being our youngest guest professor on Sensible University.
Thank you for having me.
How did you originally find out about this contest?
So I took a personal finance and investing class this past year of high school, and my teacher, Ms. Nielsen, actually made it an assignment for us to participate in this competition. So I'm very glad that was a homework assignment, so I had to do it anyway.
Wow, you had a personal finance and investing class in high school. I love it. Tell us a little bit about what you learned in that class, and was this an elective?
Yes, and I almost didn't take it, but I'm so glad I did, because out of all the challenging classes I've taken, this has definitely been the most useful in my life so far, and I'm sure will continue to help me out. We covered so many topics, from credit to mortgages to buying cars. So anything you can think of was pretty much covered in this class. Is very beneficial.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. So many more schools need to have something like that.
Yes, it's very important. I'm recommending it to all of my underclassmen friends who are not sure if it's worthwhile, because it definitely is.
Fantastic. So obviously you enjoyed this class, but what motivated you to participate in this particular contest?
So, like I said, it was a school project for us, but I was just excited to have an outlet to use my creativity and kind of have an idea to hopefully place at least locally. And I was so grateful to learn that I placed nationally and actually made some money, so I could use that towards my saving goals.
That's fantastic. So you wrote a song. It's called Cash Flow. And
Yes.
Was this the first time that you've written a song, or have you been a singer-songwriter for a while?
Yeah, so I've been writing songs for probably about 7 years now, just kind of for fun. I perform at like local venues around with a band, just as a way to express myself, share my thoughts. So I love songwriting. I've always been doing it.
Nice. And is that something you're looking forward to doing more in the future? I mean, as a career, or just as kind of a labor of love?
Right. It's definitely more of a hobby for me. I'm actually planning on going to college and going to dental school. So not quite on the music path, but it's definitely a passion of mine, and I'll always continue to have it in my life. So I'm glad it's kind of a way that I can use my creativity.
We have a good friend that is a singing dentist, if you will. He's in a band, loves to play rock star on the weekends. Yeah. So that's
you can do it all.
Yeah. And it's a great combination, because if you're going to be a dentist, you're going to have, plenty of money there if you use it wisely. And, being a musician can sometimes turn out to be an expensive hobby. So that was a really good way to go hand in hand.
Exactly. That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah. If there's anything I've learned from my personal finance class, it's definitely that money is important. So definitely contributed to my career choice.
Absolutely. Now, this contest states that the prize money is to fund your savings goal, and you were just talking about that as well. So tell us what your savings goal is.
So right now, I'm obviously focused on college. That is the priority. Like I said, I'm planning on going to dental school, which is pretty pricey. So every penny definitely counts. And I've definitely learned how important it is to start saving now, so that I can lessen my student loan debt as much as possible, since that is such a huge issue right now. So that is definitely my savings goal.
Yeah, and absolutely. Student loans are such a big issue right now. So tell me, from your standpoint, as somebody who has either already applied for some or has already taken them out, how much have you been told, or did you have to ask, about what your student loan actually entails, like the amount, the interest rate, when it has to be paid back, all those details?
Right. Well, as far as what I've learned in my class, we kind of went over that pretty superficially and delved more into other topics. So there's still a lot I have to learn with that. And I'm sure I will in these next few years. But I've definitely learned the value of applying for scholarships and earning extra money outside, so that I don't have to apply for many loans, and definitely keeping in mind the amount of interest that collects with that. So just kind of being proactive in how I'm saving and using my money in that way, because I know that a lot of people go into it completely unaware of how loans work and everything, and they kind of find themselves in even more debt by the end of their educational experience. So definitely I have learned that it's important to make sure I'm totally aware of what's happening at all times with how I'm using my money, what kind of loans I'm using.
So now, you said you almost didn't take this class, and you're very glad that you did, but what was the turning point? What made you decide to take the class?
Right. Well, I personally have actually never had a real job or anything. I've done, babysitting. I've played gigs with music and stuff. But I was like, I think it's going to be very important for me to kind of have more real life knowledge. I had a very busy course load with science classes, math, English, all of that. And I was like, you know what? I think I need to dedicate some time to a class like this because I know how valuable it'll be in the near future. So I'm so glad that I made that decision to make room for that because, like I said, I think this is definitely the most valuable class I've taken in high school and should definitely be a requirement in all high schools.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, it sounds like maybe you had parents that have been leading you along this way. Is that right? Have you been learning about money?
I was going to say my parents definitely encouraged me in this. I have financial conversations with them a lot and have learned a lot from them, but they definitely encouraged me to take this class because they know that there are still things they don't know, and it's kind of a learning experience for everyone. So I'm definitely glad that they motivated me to make that choice.
Do you have a lot of friends that have kind of the same mindset, or are they kind of thinking you're in the minority in this feeling, or how does that work?
Right. So I have a few friends who have also taken this class, and I think as seniors in high school this year, we're all kind of having a rude awakening maybe about like the reality of finances and even choosing a college and things like that, where you can't always just do exactly what you want. You have to think about the finances and what's going to be best for your future. So I think that I definitely have some friends who are a little behind in that, who maybe aren't as educated about the topic, and others who are being proactive and thinking wisely with their money. So definitely I have friends throughout the scale of that. But yeah, I think that definitely the friends who have not taken this class or had exposure to that information are behind in that sense.
Do you feel financially prepared? I mean, I'm sure, going through college, of course, you're still going to have your parents' help and everything, but do you feel prepared financially, or at least in the information that you have now and your ability to get more information between now and then to take the next steps in your life when you're out on your own?
Right. Like I said, there is still plenty for me to learn, which will come with experience, I'm sure. But I feel confident that because of this class, because of the competition with Centric Bank, the American Bankers Association, that I'm already ahead of a majority of Americans, and especially people my age, with just my financial knowledge and also awareness. So I'm definitely excited to start applying what I've learned so far as I enter into the adult world. But I am glad that I have parents who are very financially aware and that I will be able to use them as resources as I'm making decisions in the future.
Yeah, you're definitely ahead of a lot of the people, kids or adults in this country that are, struggling just to figure all of that out. And that's such an important thing.
Yes, thank you.
So you have a good handle on the fact that these things are important, that financial literacy is important and saving is important. Clearly you have that, from your song. But what motivates you to save now as opposed to waiting a while? Because, you're just in college. And when people think about savings, a lot of times they just think about retirement. Are there other things that you're aware of that you need to save for ahead of time? Or do you just have a feeling that saving is important?
Well, if there's one thing I've learned this year, it's definitely that when it comes to saving, the sooner the better. It's amazing how big of a difference 5 to 10 years can make as far as like growth of investments and savings. So I know that in order to comfortably finance my education, future car, mortgage, especially retirement, like you said, I know that it's so important for me to start saving and building my credit now, because you never know when even emergencies and things will arise, where it's just so wise to have money that you can use to contribute to those things, because you never know. Life is crazy. There's always many things you need to worry about with your money. So the sooner the better as far as saving.
Definitely. Wow. You are a woman beyond your years. That is for sure. Now, is there some things that you saw or experienced that gave you a sense of this?
Yeah, well, I think also just thinking about what career I wanted, kind of doing the research of how much certain careers like make annually, and like realizing through this class, like how much a mortgage can cost, a car can cost, especially if you have more expensive taste or just groceries, day-to-day expenses. I think kind of having all that information, because I mean, without this class, I think I wouldn't have really appreciated or known how much daily expenses really add up to. So I think having exposure to all of that information has kind of opened my eyes to realize that it is so important to save and have a stable career so that you can support yourself and a family. So yeah, definitely just having access to that information and knowing all of the little things that go into it.
Does it give you a sense of peace having this information that even though you may not have all the answers today to whatever, financially in your life could come your way, because that could
Right.
be anything, but at least knowing that there are ways to learn and ways to save and all that stuff, does that give you a little more peace?
Definitely, especially going into college now, kind of knowing that I have this information under my belt is very comforting. Like now looking back to a year ago when I didn't know all of this, I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I took this class because this information is really so valuable. And it is a little bit scary that so many Americans and just people in general are not aware of all the little things that can make a big difference in your saving and just being financially smart. So yes, it definitely gives me peace knowing that I have at least have a good start to gaining this information.
Taylor, you sent me a copy of your song, and I want to play it for everybody because I think it's such a great song and it has such an important message. So let's go ahead and play Taylor Brown's song. This is an award-winning song, by the way, and it's called Cash Flow.
I'm gonna help you pay your bills with expert monthly budgeting skills. First, set your financial goals with a budget that's accessible. It's important for your income to be stable, to cover expenses fixed and variable. Record everything that you spend and review your patterns when the month comes to an end. Oh, if you value the green, if you save as you go, then wealth is closer than it seems, and you can make that cash flow. Always pay yourself first and find those deals. Collect coupons and you'll get steals. If you plan what you're spending ahead of time, you can save for emergencies with those extra dimes. Some people wonder where their money went, but that's cause they didn't save at least 10%. Only use the handy credit card when all your debts are paid and you'll go far. Oh, and you'll go far. If you value the green, if you save as you go, then wealth is closer than it seems, and you can make that cash flow. Make that cash flow. You've gotta know that saving is the key to making your dreams a reality.
What a great song. And I love the last line, saving is the key to making your dreams a reality. What does that mean to you?
I think that I've learned that it's so important to set goals and give yourself time to reach them. And our financial dreams especially take time and effort to achieve. So I think it's so important to remember the value of saving and being proactive with finances so that you can really accomplish all that you want to.
Wow. What a great message. The other part in the song that I love is the chorus. If you value the green, if you save as you go, wealth is closer than it seems. You can make that cash flow. And I love that because to me, it sounds like somebody who really believes that, look, anything is possible as long as you plan for it, right?
Right. It's all about the work that you put in, because I think that saving and retirement, all these things can be very daunting, especially for people my age. And it still is to me. But I think it's comforting to know that if you put in the work and you're wise with how you're saving your money, that anything is achievable and you can definitely accomplish your dreams.
And, I don't know if this was a dream for you to win this contest, but it certainly had to be a lot of fun. Tell us kind of about what happened after you submitted the song and then found out that you won first place in the local competition.
Yeah, well, I definitely was not expecting that. I didn't know how many other kids had entered. Like I said, everyone in my school that was taking that class had to enter this competition. So I totally was not expecting anything of it. So I was just ecstatic and so grateful to learn that Centric Bank had selected me. And then going on to the national competition, my school, I just graduated from Central Dauphin High School, was so supportive. All of the principals, counselors, and of course, my personal finance teacher, Ms. Nielsen, were so supportive and kind of threw a little party for me. And when we learned how I had placed nationally. So I'm so grateful for all of those people who helped to kind of make this a big deal for me and make me feel special about this. So yeah.
That's awesome. And the song is on YouTube also. So I invite everybody to go and find Taylor Brown Cash Flow on YouTube, because I thought it was a great video with the
Thank you.
it's such a great, because you're not out
Very
on the street.
homemade.
Yeah, but I love the open guitar case with the money in it, and
Thank you.
it was very
Yeah,
cute.
a little nod to being a musician as a career. Maybe not being the best, but
Right.
thought I'd put that in there.
So what advice would you give to kids your age that are just either getting ready to graduate high school or just going into college about, personal finance in general?
I would say, first of all, don't be embarrassed to ask questions and reach out to people for resources and information, because it's so important to have an understanding in order to make educated decisions. So I think it's just important to kind of take that first step and be like, okay, I need some help. So just to be able to figure that out, and then just taking your time with decisions and keeping finances in mind, even when other things are maybe more prominent in your mind right now, kind of keeping the long-term goal in view so that you can make the best choice for your future.
Taylor Brown, thank you so much for your time. You're a woman beyond your years, like I said before, and I really appreciate you sharing your story and your knowledge with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome.
Today's guest professor has been Taylor Brown, winner of the local and national Lights Camera Save contest, sponsored by Centric Bank and the American Bankers Association. You've heard the song. Now check out the video on YouTube. You'll find a link to her video on the podcast page at sensible-chat.com.
Wow, great interview with Taylor Brown. She's poised for a great financial future, and we wish her all the best. Her song made such an impression on me that we're creating a new segment for the podcast called Saving Secrets. So during each episode, we're going to use her song to introduce the segment. I'm going to share my saving secrets with you, but I want you to share some with me too, because some of what I'm going to share comes from my mind and some comes from other sources, but they're all tips that you don't hear every day, and I think they're very useful. So I want to share as many tips as possible. If you've got saving secrets, things that have worked for you and go beyond automating a savings transfer every month, email me and let's learn from each other. You can email Bobby, B-O-B-B-I, at sensible-chat.com. And I have more exciting news. Sensible Chat has been a monthly podcast for some time now, but we've decided to make it a bi-monthly podcast. So from this point forward, you can count on a new episode every 2 weeks. Now, if there's topics you'd like to hear about or guests you'd like to hear from, email me and I'll do my best to accommodate. Bobby at sensible-chat.com. Now, it seems like we just got through graduation season and school doesn't start again for at least another month, but we're already hearing back to school talk. As a matter of fact, Amazon Prime Day is July 15th. That's just 1 week away. And it has become the official kickoff of the back to school shopping season. So I've got a challenge for you, and I'm hoping this is going to serve a couple of purposes. Number one, it's a great opportunity for you to teach your kids the value of money. And number two, it's a great opportunity for you to create a budget so you can decide what you can afford or what you want to spend and have the best chance at staying within that price range. Then you'll know for sure if you actually saved money, because you know you're going to get hit with every marketing piece showing you how you can save money on your back to school shopping. So this is the Back to School Challenge, and you can get the step-by-step process on the challenges page at sensible-chat.com. What you're going to do is decide on a total dollar amount you're willing to spend on your child for back to school shopping, including clothes, supplies, shoes, everything. Then you're going to share this with your child and invite them to choose their own purchases within the amount you've allotted. But if they don't spend all the money, they get to keep some of it. So now they have a vested interest in finding the best deals instead of just telling you they want everything they see. If you save some money, they get some money, and everyone wins. You know you have the money to give them because it was already earmarked to spend on them. So check out this challenge and let me know how it works for you. If you have tips to make it work better or other ideas that have worked for you, let me know that too. I'd love to know what's going on in your financial lives. And finally, if you need help creating a budget, making a plan to get out of debt, save money for Christmas, or anything financially related like that, reach out to me. I've just finished going through the Financial Coach Academy, and I'm in a beta phase to test my coaching programs. What does that mean to you? My services are free for a limited time for a limited number of clients. So reach out to me. Let's knock out your debt. You can reach me at bobby@sensiblechat.com. That's BOBBI @sensiblechat.com. Thanks for listening. And remember, our next episode will be in 2 weeks. In the meantime, leave a rating and review for this podcast. I'd love to know what you think. Thanks in advance, and until next time, keep spending and saving the sensible way.
That wraps up another episode of Sensible Chat with your host, Sensible Bobby. If you need help with your budget or want to share your thoughts, reach out to her through the contact page at sensiblechat.com. While you're there, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play.